Right now, something could be quietly rewiring the inside of your skull. You would never feel the moment it happens. There is no pain, no alarm, no flashing warning light. Certain metals slip into your body wearing a perfect disguise. Your own cells welcome them in like trusted old friends. And that warm welcome is exactly how the damage begins. Heavy metals are not poisons in the way you probably imagine. They do not burn or tear anything on the way in. Instead, they work like biological Trojans, quiet and patient. They copy the exact shape of the minerals your body craves. Your cells inspect the shape, but never the true identity. So the gate swings open, and the intruder walks right in. By the time something feels wrong, they are already home. Let us start with lead, the grand master of disguise. Your body runs on calcium in almost every living second. Calcium fires your nerves, and it hardens your growing bones. Lead is nearly the same size and charge as calcium. To your cells, the two of them look like identical twins. So your body grabs the lead and quietly files it away. It packs lead into your bones as though it were calcium. It even carries lead into the control room of your brain. You are not really being attacked here. You are being fooled. Inside the brain, calcium carries messages between your billions of neurons. Every thought is a tiny spark leaping across a narrow gap. Calcium is the key that releases each of those sparks. Now lead sits inside the lock where calcium is supposed to be. The key fits the opening, but it simply will not turn. The message forms in your mind, yet it cannot get out. Signals that should travel in milliseconds begin to stall and freeze. The person stays fully awake and completely aware inside, yet the body slowly stops answering the commands from the brain. This is why heavy lead poisoning looks so deeply strange. The mind stays sharp, while the body turns to stone. The hands grow weak, and the wrists begin to droop down. It feels like being locked inside a car you cannot drive. Lead also jams the hidden factory that builds your fresh blood. Without enough new red cells, the skin fades to a dull gray, and along the gums, a thin, dark line can slowly appear. Doctors of the past knew that shadow as a classic warning sign. Picture a living person, graying and stiffening, mind wide awake inside. The lights are on, but the doors have all been welded shut. Here is a chilling detail about lead that few people know. Once lead enters your bones, it can hide there for many decades. Your skeleton becomes a silent, slow-release warehouse of poison. Years later, stress or illness can pull that lead back out. Pregnancy can even shift stored lead into a growing baby. So a single old exposure can echo through an entire lifetime. If lead is a smooth con artist, Mercury plays far dirtier. Mercury does not even wait around to be invited inside. In its liquid form, it quietly releases an invisible, silent vapor. You breathe that vapor in without noticing a single thing. Your brain is guarded by a wall called the blood-brain barrier. This wall blocks almost everything harmful that floats in your blood, but mercury vapor slips straight through it as if it were open air. Now here is where mercury does its most terrible work. Your nerves are wrapped in a fatty coat called myelin. Think of it like the plastic insulation around an electric wire. It keeps every signal fast, clean, and safely on its path. Mercury loves fat, so it sinks straight into that soft coating. It grips the tiny proteins that hold your nerve cells together. Slowly, the insulation frays, and the wiring underneath lies exposed. Now the signals leak, scatter, and short out completely at random. Mercury actually wears more than one dangerous costume in nature. As a silver liquid, it gives off that sneaky, invisible vapor. But tiny bacteria in water can transform it into something worse. They turn it into methyl mercury, which living tissue absorbs with ease. This new form clings to muscle and rides quietly up the food chain. That is the very version that ends up on your dinner plate. For centuries, hat makers handled mercury with their bare hands every day. They breathed the warm fumes inside small, closed rooms for years. Over time, a strange and tragic change crept over many of them. Their hands developed a violent shake they could not control. Their moods would swing from shy to furious within mere seconds. Some of them saw and heard things that were simply not there. Their mouths watered without stopping, all through the day and night. This is exactly where the phrase "mad as a hatter" was born. But the cruelest part is what Mercury does to the self. It does not merely weaken the muscles or blur the vision. It reaches deep into the parts that make you into you. Confidence, memory, and calm all begin to quietly dissolve. A gentle person can turn frightened, suspicious, and hostile. The personality erodes away while the body keeps on breathing. In a real sense, someone can lose their mind while still alive. So these two metals attack you from completely opposite directions. Lead freezes the body and leaves the sharp mind imprisoned inside. Mercury melts the mind and lets the body run wild and loose. One traps a clear thinker inside a slowly failing body. The other keeps the body moving while the self quietly drains away. Yet both of them share one clever trick beneath their masks. Both bind to the very same tiny hooks on your proteins. Those hooks are made of sulfur, and your enzymes depend on them. Enzymes are the tiny machines that run every process inside you. When metal jams those hooks, the little machines seize up and stop. And that single, simple move is enough to break the whole system. It is not one dramatic blow that takes a person down. It is thousands of quiet failures adding up, cell by cell. Your body is not entirely helpless against these silent invaders. Special proteins can grab loose metals and try to escort them out. Your liver and kidneys work overtime to filter the danger away. But this defense only handles small, occasional amounts at a time. A steady daily trickle slowly overwhelms every guard you have. The system was simply never designed for a modern metal world. Now, it is very easy to file all of this under old history. Alchemists, hat factories, and poison kings from long, long ago. But the exact same chemistry is still quietly running today. In many older homes, lead can seep out from aging pipes. It also hides in old layers of paint and in fine dust. A curious child can breathe it in or swallow it by accident. Their growing brains soak up these metals faster than adults do. Mercury, meanwhile, steadily climbs its way up the ocean food chain. Small fish absorb a little from the water they live in. Bigger fish eat many of the small fish, and it adds up. A large tuna can store far more than you would ever guess. Every big predator fish keeps what it eats for its whole life. That is why one calm dinner can carry a hidden little dose. People have unknowingly poisoned themselves with metals for thousands of years. Ancient builders lined their water channels with smooth lead pipes. Some even sweetened their wine using a syrup boiled in lead pots. For most of the last century, lead was added to gasoline itself. Every passing engine breathed a fine metal dust into the open air. We spent whole generations surrounded by an invisible chemical fog. The good news is that knowledge itself is a real form of armor. You can test old paint and old pipes inside your home. You can choose smaller fish that carry far less mercury. You can filter your water and wipe away settled household dust. None of this requires fear, only a little steady attention. Understanding the threat is the first real step to staying safe. So your body is doing its quiet sorting work right this second. It sorts through every mineral it finds inside your food. But it cannot always tell the real ones from the clever fakes. Given the smallest chance, it will build these metals right into you. Into your bones, into your blood, and yes, into your neurons. This is the hidden chemistry of simply being alive on this planet. If you want the raw truth about what you are truly made of, subscribe. Learn the real chemistry of survival before it quietly learns you.